The first mention of Baptists in the North East was in the 1650s, when we read of two Baptist churches, one in Hexham and another in Newcastle, meeting in a room on the Old Tyne Bridge. By the 19th century, the Newcastle church was meeting in a building on Tuthill Stairs and had begun taking an interest in Gateshead, a town of some 55,000 people which had no Baptist witness. This resulted in 1872 in a Sunday school that met in the Mechanics' Institute in West Street. By April 1877, land had been acquired, and on the 15th of April, the Baptist Church at Gateshead was formed with 38 members. The first minister was Reverend Albert Fitzgibbon Riley. The foundation stone was laid on the 12th of September 1877, and on the 2nd of December, the first services were held in this part of the building where we're meeting today. The main sanctuary, now the apartments, was opened the following year, and the church grew rapidly, the balcony being added a few years later. In 1890, the records tell of a bazaar to raise £160 to pay off work on the building and fund other projects. The church continued to grow and became known as a beacon of evangelical faith in the North East. It shared a crossroads with a Presbyterian and a Methodist church, and the spot became known as Amen Corner. 3 churches together could seat 2,500 worshippers. The worshipping life of the church was affected by the 2 world wars. The church released the Reverend F.J. Walkie during the First World War to become an army chaplain. He was awarded the Military Cross on the 9th of March 1918 and the OBE in the King's Birthday Honours List in 1919. Many young men of the church were lost in action over the 2 world wars. Their names are recorded on the church's memorial plaque. In the 1950s, mission work began at Beacon Lough with a Sunday school and evening service. On the 25th of February 1963, Beacon Lough Baptist Church was formed. 25 members were set aside for new work. Land was acquired from Gateshead Council, and the church on Southend Road opened in 1968. The 1960s and 70s were a time of evangelism and outdoor meetings and rallies, including tech meetings, that's Tyneside Evangelistic Council, held monthly at Newsattle City Hall and attracting large numbers from across the region. Outdoor missionary meetings, Gateshead Evangelistic Rally, Come Alive in 75, and in 1978 the Reverend Mike Smith started up Bible studies amongst new housing areas in Wickham, which became Wickham Community Fellowship. New road structures around the church in the 1970s did considerable damage to the fabric of the old sanctuary and cut the church off from the communities on the other side of the road. Plans were drawn up in 1974 for redevelopment of the church, including flats for retired ministers, but these were not approved by the council. The church was secured and restoration began. Children and young people's work came to the fore in the 1980s and 90s, with many children from the church taking part in residential camps organised by International Christian Mission Word of Life, and they organised musical evenings at Christmas and Easter. In common with many churches and denominations, church attendance and membership declined in the latter half of the 20th century. Of the 3 churches which stood on Amen Corner at the dawn of the century, only Durham Road Baptist Church remained as a worshipping church by its close. The Presbyterian Church closed in 1938 and during the Second World War was used as a food store. It was demolished in 1957. The Methodist Church became a YMCA and was later demolished to make way for the Gateshead Highway. In 2002, Reverend David Hunt was invited to be our pastor and began several new initiatives, including Tuesday social nights and Sunday international friendship teas monthly, as well as bringing prom praise to the Sage, Gateshead, from 2006 to 2013. After he moved away, the fellowship continued with regular services, often with visiting speakers, weekly Bible studies, and annual prayer novenas and prayer weekends until we felt able to call a new minister. In 2016, the church agreed to the current redevelopment scheme and called Duncan as its new team leader. In 2019, the church went on to call Abby as the associate minister, and despite the pandemic, the building work was completed in 2021. COVID succeeded in postponing a celebration of all that God has done for us. Until now. If you would like to see more of the history of the church, there's a display at the end of the buffet table.